I think at this point, we've all heard the saying, in the criminal justice system, the people are represented by two separate yet equally important groups: the police who investigate crimes and the district attorneys who prosecute the offenders. These are their stories. Now, in Cochise County, we are very familiar with our county attorney, Lori Zucco. We're very familiar with our state's attorney General Chris Mays. But did you know that we have a United States attorney that represents our state? His name is Timothy Courchaine. Courchaine, did I say that right?
Cochise, you did say it right.
Oh my gosh, I'm so fortunate there on the first try too. And he is definitely someone you should know. Welcome back to another episode of Someone You Should Know with Jeff Davenport, brought to you by SSVEC, Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative, serving our community. Now, it's someone you already know with someone you should know. Before we get into first of all, thanks for taking the time to talk to us today. I know you got a busy day ahead of you. This guy's going to be running you all around, and we're excited to hear about what is in store for your day. But before we get going with this and discussing your reason for visiting Sierra Vista today, bringing your team down, could you explain the role of a United States attorney, and then explain why it's important to work with local law enforcement like the Cochise County Sheriff's Office?
Absolutely. So the role of the United States Attorney in any district, so there's 94 federal districts across the country. Arizona is unique in that there is a single district for the entire state. Most states are broken up in 3 to 4 different districts. Well, there's one U.S. Attorney for the entire state of Arizona, and that's me. So I represent the entire federal interest. I am the highest federal official in the state of Arizona. And so that means I represent them in legal matters, and then also help coordinate federal law enforcement actions, federal law enforcement cooperation. And so it is critically important, especially with the border, which is a uniquely federal interest, right? That is exclusive federal jurisdiction, to work with the state and locals who are on the border doing the hard work with the encounters every day that come with border enforcement.
And coming down for a visit like this, now you were the interim and then named the actual U.S. attorney. Is that correct? How did that work? Or is it?
As with most things in federal law, it's probably a little bit more complex than it ought to be. So I was named the interim by Attorney General Pam Bondi at the end of February of this year, but that only lasts 120 days. And then it kicks over to the federal district court to vote to keep me on. Thankfully, in Arizona, we have a fantastic relationship across law enforcement, attorneys, and the court. They voted unanimously to keep me in this position.
Fantastic. And we're glad that you're here today. So, Sheriff Mark, when you have someone like this on a federal level coming down to Cochise County, number one, why is it important to have the federal folks up in Phoenix know what's going on down here and what's in store today?
Well, Jeff, let me just say, our successes come through our partnerships, both local, state, and federal, all the way. At the end of the day, we're serving communities, and we represent the community side of it. And having Tim here, we've worked on a couple events together, committees together, and doing things, but having him here in Cochise County to see our operations, to meet the local police chiefs, which you'll be meeting today, Fort Huachuca, which is a great partner with us, with the 10th Mountain going up there. And this is all a established partnership, but having the youth attorney from Arizona come down here and say, what can I do for you? What can we work together on? And we're working on some projects already. He already knows that. I'm not going to go into detail, but again, it just establishes who we are, but it tells the citizens that, hey, we're doing what's right for you and keeping you all safe. Today, we're going to go to our Sheriff's Assist team. Our volunteers are having their annual awards luncheon at Cochise College at 11 o'clock. Tim has agreed to be a speaker at that, so they're all excited. Trust me, they're all excited and to have you over there. And we're going to have community dignitaries there also. But this is our way to recognize our volunteers, but to accent it with the U.S. Attorney from Arizona there. So we're excited. Then we're going to Fort Huachuca from there, and then we're going to spend a little time with the police chiefs after that. And in the midst of all that, they'll be at the luncheon too. So again, a busy day coming for.
No kidding. And is this one of your first times down here? Or have you been to Sierra Vista, Fort Huachuca area before?
This is my second time down to Sierra Vista. The first time was actually right after I got out of the Marine Corps, and I was fortunate enough to clerk for Justice William Montgomery, who's up on the Arizona Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court does this unique thing where they travel to different counties to hear arguments. Just so happened that they were down here in Cochise County at Bisbee, and I visited Sierra Vista 2 months after getting out of the Marine Corps for those oral arguments. But it's been some time, so happy to be back.
Well, we can say welcome back for sure. When you look at the state of Arizona, what do you see as the top challenges for law enforcement around our state, and then particularly here in Cochise County?
Sure. When I took on this role, I identified 3 priorities. The first one was obvious. It was the southern border. Securing the southern border drives so much of what law enforcement sees, not just in the border counties, but also what happens in the interior of the state and then into the interior of the country. Arizona is the gateway for things into whether it's the West Coast, East Coast, or even the middle of the country. More than 50% of all fentanyl seized in the country is seized in the state of Arizona. So securing that border, that supply route is critical. The second one is obviously dismantling the cartel organizations both south of the border and their distribution networks here. And then the third was the unique role that law enforcement needs to play in lowering violent crime, especially on Indian reservations.
I mean, those are huge things to tackle and to look at. How do you feel that the local law enforcement agencies, like the Cochise County Sheriff's Office, how do you feel they're doing when dealing with these on the ground here in our local jurisdictions?
No one could ever question their spirit, but when the border was open, there weren't enough people ever to handle that type of flood, especially on the local level. And that was, frankly, the federal government's job. And so the local law enforcement, they are in the communities. They know the players. They know the people who either make the community better or frankly hurt the community. Tying into that local knowledge, that local ability to go into their communities and police is key for the federal partnership to then focus maybe on some of the bigger players where we can leverage our national resources to come and help communities.
Fantastic. What are, over the coming year, I mean, are those basically the main priorities of your office, those 3 things that you were looking at?
Those 3 things, and thanks to the fantastic work of local partners, especially Sheriff Dannels down here in southern Arizona, that first priority, we've seen a massive amount of success in just a few months. The border numbers, I was just cracking the numbers. We've seen a 14-fold decrease, so 14 times less apprehensions along the southern border, virtually no gotaways. And so we have achieved a significant amount of operational control over that southern border. And so then that allows us to focus on the community needs here in Cochise County, here in southern Arizona, and then focus on those bigger targets with dismantling those cartel networks that were set up when everybody was busy dealing with the migrant crime surge.
And Sheriff Mark, do you feel the same way? Obviously, you deal with these numbers and these statistics every single week, every single month for several years on end. What has there been a true decrease from the sheriff's office standpoint and from all the people that you work with, and how has that either boosted morale or helped you focus on other places?
Well, I continue to say it, we're working together, we're engaged, we're sharing operations, we're sharing our authorities. What's the authority of a U.S. attorney versus a district attorney or a sheriff versus a federal agent? We all have different unique authorities, but together we have collective authority that makes us do our job much better, more efficient, more effective. We have seen a huge, it's like night and day. Like I say, somebody just turned the switch. That's how drastic it's become. And what Tim is saying, the attorney here is saying, is now we are involved in some pretty in-depth investigations that we didn't have time to do before, that we do now to dismantle the cartels. I mean, they are a ruthless, criminal, very deadly organization that's infected our country in so many ways. There's so many tragedy stories out there. And if we can save one life, we're doing well. And that's what this is all about, saving lives. So I appreciate him being here. I appreciate the partnership we have with the youth attorneys. It's always been a good partnership. The engagement here with Tim, in the short time he's been with us, has just been outstanding. I know the Arizona sheriffs really appreciate him.
Without a doubt. And, you talked about the difference between the local and federal jurisdictions. That actually brings me to another question. Because you work, Tim, on a federal level, how do you balance federal mandates with the specific needs and challenges of this district when working with the local law enforcement agencies?
That is a fantastic question. And those change county to county even. Arizona is a unique district because we have pretty much everything there is to do. In the federal space, we've got immigration, we have drugs, we have tribal reservations, we have a massive national security apparatus that Southern Arizona is well familiar with, especially with Fort Huachuca and Davis-Monthan in Tucson. And so balancing those is if I tried to do it all alone, if any of us tried to do it all alone in Arizona, we could not meet that mission, the mission that the people of Arizona have given us and expect us to meet. And so I seek, especially as a younger man in this role, I seek the advice and the experience of people who've been doing this for much longer. No offense on the age share of Dannels, but for me, it's a fantastic opportunity to tap into that and say, hey, Sheriff Dannels, where should we be focusing? Where have you seen the pitfalls? Where have you seen the successes? And I take that experience, I look at the assets we have, not just in Arizona, but DOJ wide, and say, okay, hey, Main Justice maybe, DOJ in DC, we need these resources surged here now, and because it helps a community in Cochise, or because it helps a security issue up in Phoenix. So that's how I leverage that local knowledge and local need.
So Sheriff Mark, how does it feel knowing that someone in as powerful a position as this is humble enough to say, hey, I want to come to you and visit you and spend time with you to really understand what's going on? Because sometimes we live down here. Sometimes we feel like Phoenix is just a different bubble, and things that happen up there, people say, oh, you're from Sierra Vista. What part of California is that? They don't know that we exist down here. So Sheriff Mark, what's it like having someone who's humble enough to be able to say, hey, I want to know from the boots on the ground what the challenges are and how specifically we can use the federal government to be able to assist in those challenges?
Well, it shows Tim respects his elderly, number one. You got to give him credit for that, and I appreciate that, Tim. But in all fairness, the first time we met Tim was at a sheriff's meeting with our Arizona sheriffs, and he came in open-armed. He came in there welcoming, and he put the same message he's sharing with you today. His message hasn't changed. What can we do better? How can we complement each other's experiences, each other's authority, and make our community safe, which makes our state safe? He has never wavered once from that. And sheriffs are feral cats. I mean, they're always like looking and scratching and sometimes spraying. But at the end of the day, they're very complimentary of what he's done for us. And that's just not Cochise, but all of us. And when you bring it together, I mean, we're doing something very positive. So again, I'm excited. We went some tough times on this border. Jeff, you know that. We had a lot of tragedies here, and to see the relief, the pressure taken off us, and now we're sharing re-employed Border Patrol agents, I call it. I mean, the fact that they're doing the job they were hired to do, took an oath to do. So now that we're all, I say, complementary to each other, things are getting better.
Well, we love that Tim can be a part of that. One last question. Two more questions. In a major case that you deal with on a federal level, how do you manage the pressure from public or politicians to reach a certain outcome in those cases that you work on that a lot of times we in Cochise County don't even know, again, because of the separation between Phoenix and Cochise County? How do you handle that? How have you grown in handling those things?
Sure. I don't mean to be flip, but I'd say it's kind of easy. I ignore it. No, that's not the mission. And, I was a Marine officer prior to coming out to Arizona, which was the best leadership academy I could possibly ask for, and also the best experience to learn how to focus on the mission. There could be a bunch of other stuff happening around you. It could be the most stressful time of your life, but you have to focus on the mission. You have no other option. And so there might be expectations, desires, pressures, whether they come just from people's own interests or partisan stuff. Guess what? That's not a law enforcement mission. The law enforcement mission is to do justice through our system, and all the other stuff doesn't matter. And so you ignore it. And that's the message I send, especially to my prosecutors. To the degree you start feeling yourself getting caught up in those emotions, you need to refocus on the mission, put the blinders on, because that doesn't matter. It doesn't come into the case.
A great outlook and a great way to look at it. Final question for you, U.S. Attorney Timothy Courchaine. You work on a federal level. You work with some of the most powerful people in politics and law enforcement. You work on a state level here in Arizona. You work with our Attorney General, Chris Mays. You partner with all the other county attorneys, including our wonderful county attorney, Lori Zucco, as cases end up going to Phoenix. Final question is, all the people you work with, Sheriff Mark Dannels, is he a great sheriff or the greatest sheriff?
Oh, I can't. Look, you're going to put, there's 15 county sheriffs here in Arizona.
But there's only one who's in this room right now on Cool FM Live.
There's only one in here. It's exactly what I was going to say.
I think
And
it's
so
easy.
for today, it's certainly the greatest sheriff is Sheriff Dannels.
Thanks,
And it is an honor actually to be partnered with him. It really is.
What are you most excited, looking forward to today in your adventures with Sheriff Mark before you head back up to the valley?
I love coming down, and nature is one of the things I love seeing, and being able to be free to come down here, visit nature, see the beautiful surroundings, and meet the people who call this place home. That's the exciting part for me. It really is.
Well, we're so glad you're here. And again, thank you for giving us this exclusive interview, Sheriff Mark, here on Cool FM Live. It is someone you should know, U.S. Attorney for the state of Arizona, Timothy Courchaine. Thank you for watching this edition of Someone You Should Know with Jeff Davenport, brought to you by our good friends at SSVEC, Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative, serving our community. These are the people who work to keep us safe. As we joked at the very beginning with that old Law and Order headline, talking about the police who investigate crimes, the district attorneys who prosecute the offenders. These are the ones who make sure that our streets, our communities, all across our state, including right here in Cochise County, stay as safe as possible. And we're grateful for you. Thank you again for your time today. Have a great time at the luncheon and with everybody you're going to be meeting. I know they're going to be watching this video and going, oh my gosh, he's just as relatable in that video as he is in person. Tim, a pleasure to meet you today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, Sheriff Mark.
Thank you, buddy.
You are the greatest, not great, but the greatest sheriff in all of the galaxy as far as we're concerned. But thank you so much for watching this episode. Please do us a favor, like this video, share this video around, and let everybody know that we have wonderful people in charge of law enforcement and the prosecution of the offenders here in Cochise County. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing. Have a great day, everybody. Stay safe out there, and we'll talk to you again soon. Awesome.